All right.
Yeah, welcome back to the No State Project. I'm your host, Mark Stevens, author of the intercontinental cult classic, Adventures in Legal Land, and soon to be the author of the second book, which I'm working on, JT, diligently, Government Indicted, which
Get on that, will you? Great title.
I'm working on it. Trust me, I'm working on it every day. I made it a point to do that, and it is coming along. But you can get your copy. We still have the bulk rate. That if you want to buy 20 plus, they're half off. So definitely go to markstevens.net and pick that up. And of course, I'm still working with people. This is one of the things we're talking about today, helping with consultation. So with the IRS, unfortunately, I'll tell you in advance. When I do these conference calls with the IRS, the reason why I'm doing that is because the IRS will not accept my power of attorney.
I thought it was just California.
That's the thing. It's just with the Franchise Tax Board. I used to just do a power of attorney. You don't need to be an attorney or a CPA, or you don't have to have any kind of title to be able to do the power of attorney in California. So it wasn't a problem. It's just that now I think because of all the calls that I've made and whatnot, I think there's a blanket refusal. They won't accept my power of attorney anymore. So I have to, the IRS, I can't do their 2848 because you have to be an enrolled agent, an attorney, or you have to be, I don't fit the profile. I can't fill it out.
Yeah, you have to have some kind of a licensing muzzle where if you ask inconvenient questions, they can take it away from you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I have to have, so if someone's calling, if you want me to help you with the Internal Revenue Service, and I'm happy to help, even though it means being on the phone with these lizards, a little more than I'm comfortable with.
Hey, be nice to lizards now, will you?
That's true. That, lizards have a purpose, part of the circle of life. I get. So, when I do it with the IRS now, the reason why when you hear these calls, the client's always on, because they have to authorize the IRS to speak to me, and I have to do it every time.
Right.
It's kind of funny when they say that they have rules, and this is a rule or a law that they have to comply with. I have to keep them laughing. I was like, oh, well, what about the law that says you're supposed to have evidence?
Right.
Oh, well, we'll just cast that aside. So that's what we would have to do. So we'd have to do. So I don't mess around necessarily with a power of attorney with the IRS because it doesn't matter. I don't need it. But with the Franchise Tax Board, I'm still trying to jump through the hoops because I need to be able to help people, and I can't always do a conference call with them.
Right.
So, but anyway, so if you're interested in me helping with the IRS and or any kind of tax issue, traffic, things like that, markstevens.net, M-A-R-C, Stevens with a V, markstevens.net, and we'll hook you up with that. Because this Wednesday, I've spoken about it before, we're going in on Wednesday. Well, I'm going to be doing it here on the phone. And so it's a state tax hearing. And I mentioned it before because, JT, we could not, in 45 minutes, so that's another thing. Us voluntarians, we're very patient.
Right.
We'll come to the table. Yeah, we have to. Right. we come to the table in good faith, and we've got some patience. We're not the ones that we're getting flustered or the ever popular. Mark, I don't like this. You make me feel like I'm being cross-examined.
Well, enjoy yourself. Now you know how it feels.
Yeah. I tell you what, this is what, I've said, I'll paraphrase. You know what? If you leave my client alone, I'll never call you again.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll never ask you a question the rest of my life. So just it's a little meet me halfway, people.
Guess what? My client feels the same way. Isn't that ironic?
So when we were talking, and this I think is very important. I don't want people thinking you need to have a Juris Doctorate, you got to get your nose into a law book. I spoke with someone today, and a lot of people, don't notice. If you listen to these phone calls that I do at the IRS, you will not hear me quoting the code.
Why would you? It only applies to taxpayers.
Well, true.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to even quote court cases and things like this as far as the grounds to get an assessment thrown out. You just have to ask them, and they'll tell you. And this is what I mentioned in the last segment that Kat did it. So don't feel that you have to get every nook and you got to know this, that, and the other thing. Trust me, those agents aren't reading the code any more than you and I are.
Sure.
So don't worry about that. So you just ask them. So what I did at this hearing, the first part, it was a couple of months ago, we had to get the ground rules set. I need to know what the grounds are to throw an assessment out. So I was saying, look, if the agent who did the assessment can't produce any evidence to support the accusation against my client, is that grounds to then throw it out? Now, I'm not quoting a law. I know that by law that's supposed to be that way. Okay. So that's just a general thing. And it's just standard. It's common sense. If it's arbitrary and capricious, they throw it out. So you don't need the Supreme Court in Hellring versus Taylor or whatever to tell you that's just basic common sense. So you just ask them. Even if there wasn't a law, ask the agent, look, is the lack of evidence, is that sufficient to throw it out? And they'll tell, well, yeah, okay, great. So with the problem that we had with this particular agent, who the client told me, because I wasn't there, I was doing it on the phone, was that this hearing officer, who was a lawyer, was actually very young, probably in her late 20s. Oh, all right. So she said, I can't answer that because we have different opinions on what is evidence and what's not evidence. So I mean, well, don't use my definition, use yours. I don't care.
Right. Sure.
Just give me an answer to the question so we can move on and resolve this. My poor client had to sit there for 45 minutes.
Professional equivocation. I've got nowhere to go here, so I'll make something up.
Yeah, I would have been happy if she just made something up and then we could have moved on. So
well, I think she just did.
Well,
what you think is evidence differs from what I think is evidence. No, actually, I think there's pretty uniform declaration of what constitutes evidence and what doesn't.
Yeah, but it would have got me to be. We could have put the agent on oath, which is what we want, and I've already questioned her. Some of her statements are already on one of the videos, and this is she's the one that said I didn't say anything about evidence. And we know that she did. So
sure.
What I ended with, in just trying to do my best, because my client is the one that's going, it's really painful for him, and I don't want him going through any more than he needs to. And so I said, look, let's put it this way. If the agent cannot verify her assessment under oath, is that grounds to throw it out? What do you think she's... Yeah. So take a guess of what she said.
Yes.
She wouldn't answer. She wouldn't even answer the question. She wouldn't even answer. So I said, we can't participate in any kind of hearing until we know what the ground rules are. So that's right. When she did this thing that she's got other things on the docket. She's got a busy morning.
Poor you.
Yeah, so we had to reschedule them. And I well, if you had just shown one shred of good faith, you would have answered it a half hour ago.
Sure.
Please. So these people, so they had to reset it. It's like 2 months later. And so we're going in on Wednesday morning to do this. So unfortunately, my client has to go into this office again.
Ish. And this is a so-called state issue?
This is state taxes. Yeah, tax. State Department of Revenue. So unfortunately, they're one of the places that have an income tax. He's not in Texas, unfortunately.
Okay.
So this is but we're going to do the same thing. And the reason why I'm talking about this is it's that easy to shut one of these things down. I think that the point that I'm making with this is that you don't worry that you don't know the code and all. You just ask them what it is and just stick to the facts. If you just stick to the facts and ask them if a lack of evidence is sufficient to throw it out, most of them, everyone that I've spoken to will agree, at least eventually, that is sufficient.
Sure.
And you can always bait them and say, well, look, you wouldn't affirm an arbitrary assessment, would you? And they'll say, well, no, of course not. Now you've at least gotten somewhere. Now you got them. So when we go in Wednesday, that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be talking about this. And this particular agent, we have her as part of the evidence. We have the audio tape, which they're not disputing the accuracy of what we're reporting is on the tape. Well, the MP3.
Okay.
Just that we didn't give them permission to, they didn't give us permission to record. But of course, I'm in Arizona. and I'm still a witness to what she said. So we have the client who was on the line who was still a witness. She was the one that said that the income was not taxable, that nobody was qualified to say that, yet she went ahead and did it anyway.
Sure.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
Why not?
Yeah, my name is Mark Stevens. JT and I talking about tickets, tyrants, and assessments, where we're sticking to the man one show at a time here on the No State Project on LRN.FM. Don't go away. We'll be back in just a few moments. We're talking about 2 tickets that were thrown out this week, so you're not going to want to miss that.